Hello everyone, my name is Naomi, aka Nifty Nomi, and welcome to my channel, Be That Business. I'm a Canadian bookkeeper and a new business educator, and I help entrepreneurs look under the hood to see how it all works. I'm fighting the good fight against double work and against giving CRA more money than you have to. I've been putting out interesting and useful newsletters twice a month on the 14th and the 29th. If you prefer to read your newsletters, check out my sign-up link in the description below. There's also a link to a transcript of today's newsletter. On to today's newsletter. Hello, welcome to June 28th, 2024. In this newsletter, what's due at the end of June, my 3 favorite resources for June, and what due dates are coming up in July. First of all, what's due at the end of June? June 30th falls on a Sunday this year in 2024, and July 1st is also a public holiday. That means that all June 30th CRA due dates are bumped to July 2nd. So what are those bumped June 30th due dates? Starting with the corporate tax return, the T2, and this is due 6 months after the fiscal year end. If your fiscal year end is the calendar December 31st, then the corporation's tax return is due June 30th. Next, if your business is involved in construction activities and makes payments to subcontractors for construction services, you will need to file T5018's Statement of Contract Payments for each of your contractors each year. You can report the payments on a calendar year basis or based on your fiscal year end. These are due 6 months after the reporting period you have chosen. If that period ends December 31st, then the 2023 T5018s would be due June 30th, 2024. I've put a link in the description below for more information on T5018s. Lastly, if you are incorporated and you owed corporate income tax for your previous fiscal year, then you are required to pay installments for next year on the last day of every month. June 30th is the due date for the June corporate tax installment. Though there are no other standard items due at the end of this month, be aware that if your sales tax filing is monthly, May's GST, HST filing, and remittance is due on June 30th. If your sales tax quarterly filing is on a different schedule because of a corporate fiscal year end date that is not standard, the GST HST for a quarter March to May would be due on June 30th. Now, we've mentioned that if your corporate fiscal year end is December, your corporate tax return is due 6 months after your fiscal year end. But if your corporate year end is March or April, the income tax payable is due 2 or 3 months after the fiscal year end, either due end of June or end of July, depending on your corporation. Check in with your accountant to find out more about your corporate tax due dates specific to your corporation. On to my 3 favorite resources for June. Each resource will have a link in the description below. Resource number 1, Mid-Year Financial Review. We are halfway through the year and it is time for you to do a mid-year review of your business. Maria Maya posted 7 concrete things to do for your business's mid-year review. Resource number 2, BDC's free webinars. Check out BDC's lineup of free on-demand webinars designed specifically for Canadian entrepreneurs. From strategies to protect profits to scaling up, there are over a dozen to choose from. Resource number 3, How Big Ideas Are Born. I listened to quite a few great podcasts, and a couple of months ago, a podcast called Hidden Brain began a series titled Innovation 2.0. Generally not a business podcast, in their April 29th episode, How Big Ideas Are Born, Saras Sarasvathy uses the lens of entrepreneurship to study how we plan and prepare for the future. She discusses some interesting business cases and also strategies that experienced entrepreneurs use that are different from their newly minted colleagues. What resources have you found that have helped you start, run, or grow your business? Feature it and a call out to your business in our next Resources newsletter. Now, on to what due dates are coming up in July. Now's the time to prep your July calendar. Hashtag be that business that is organized. Here are some July due dates that might affect your business. There are reference links to each in the description below. First up, if you have employees, July 15th is the due date for your payroll source deductions relating to June's payroll. Next, if you have employees, you are likely registered for provincial workplace insurance. That's WSIB or WCB. WCB in some provinces is due monthly and on the 15th. In Ontario, WSIB is due quarterly, and the premiums on earnings from April 1st to June 30th are due on July 31st. Next, if you file your GST/HST quarterly, the standard quarter of April to June is due to be filed and paid on or before July 31st. Next, if you are incorporated and you owed corporate income tax for your previous fiscal year, then you are required to pay installments for next year on the last day of every month. July 31st is the due date for the July corporate tax installment. Though there are no other standard items due at the end of this month, be aware that if your sales tax filing is monthly, June's GST/HST filing and remittance is due on July 31st. Also, if your corporate fiscal year end is January, your corporate tax return is due 6 months after your fiscal year end, so that would be end of July. If your corporate year end is April or May, the income tax payable is payable 2 or 3 months after the fiscal year end, either due end of July or end of August, depending on your corporation. Check in with your accountant to find out more about corporate tax due dates specific to your corporation. If you found this video useful, don't forget to subscribe to my channel. I'm also on Instagram at BeThatBusiness, and you can tweet at me or X at me. I'm at NiftyNomi, and I'm also at NiftyNomi on Twitch and TikTok. And you can find resources and courses about running a Canadian business on my website, naomiwilkins.ca. The video today was recorded in beautiful Gananoque, Ontario. Thanks for watching, and get out there and be that business that thrives.